Hello, my loves. I hope you're doing so well today. We are going to be interviewing a beautiful soul named Linda Murphy. She was diagnosed with cancer at age 39. We are going to go in depths of her story, but this truly catapulted her into searching for more natural ways to support her body, although she was already relatively healthy when she got diagnosed, and we're going to talk about that too. So after a little while, she found a holistic nutrition school, CSNN, and that's whenever she became a registered holistic nutritionist in 2007. So she's been consulting hundreds of people since then. She's also teaching at CSNN, which is absolutely something that she loves doing. And she's also running a nonprofit group called Healingstrong in Canada, which teaches people about non-toxic therapies to help support their bodies during and after cancer diagnosis. So she's so super passionate about helping people create optimal health and vitality. I cannot wait for you to listen to this podcast. You're listening to the What's with Cancer podcast. This is your host, Mazina, and I'm a certified health coach, life coach, breathwork facilitator, as well as my mom's caregiver. When my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer back in 2019, the doctors told us she probably wouldn't live past 2 years. But I wasn't willing to give up that easy, and I started learning and implementing absolutely everything I could find out from other people that survived this disease. After seeing my mom go through the ups and downs over the years and successfully outliving her prognosis, it made me realize that there's so much more to learn about this, and there's so many unanswered questions. And I want to know, what's with the industry telling us that there's no cure when there's been thousands of people that have overcome a terminal diagnosis? What's with the conflicting information that's presented to us about treatment, diet, and lifestyle? And lastly, what comes with a diagnosis? How do we manage the day-to-day things, the hard conversations, the stress, and our social life whenever our entire world has completely changed? There is nothing worse than feeling helpless, overwhelmed, and lost whenever it comes to a serious diagnosis like cancer. And it is my mission to share stories of hope, insight, and truth to help guide you through the unknown times. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you find value in the show. All right. Beautiful. Okay. Welcome to the show, Linda. I am absolutely so honored and thrilled to have you here because when I met you briefly through a mutual friend of ours, Natalie, you started telling your story and I was like, no way, she needs to tell this to more people. We need to get your message out there because you were diagnosed back whenever you were 39 years old and you really started approaching things naturally. And that kind of seems to get you curious about things. And you help support people that are going through cancer diagnoses and you offer a lot of different things. So let's get a little bit of history on, your experience with cancer and how it showed up in your life.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for inviting me here. Cause it is a passion of mine. So backtracking. So I've actually been interested in nutrition almost my entire life. And it was interesting because even I think back when I was younger, my teens, I actually diagnosed my own food allergies. Back then, it really wasn't something a lot of people talked about. I found this book in the library and I'm like, oh, that's me. And then through my teens, I was starting to get a little bit more interested in health, but then through my 20s and 30s, somewhat health conscious, but it wasn't until I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 39, that was a real wake up call for me because I thought I was healthy. I was not overweight. I exercised. I thought I was doing all the right things. So for me, instead of, I just looked at it as, okay, I guess there's more I need to learn, right? I didn't know a lot about what I was going to do, but it just got me starting to look for things. And so then about 5 years later, I came across my holistic nutrition program. And right away, when I saw these words, holistic nutrition, I went, oh, yeah, that's what I got to do. Didn't even know what it was, but it's just like the words jumped off the page at me. Actually, I was going through, you know what it was? I was reading a book by, and I always forget their names, that they wrote that book, the Looney Spoons. Do you remember the Looney Spoons? They're two sisters. Anyway, they write this amazing cookbook. And I was reading, I think it was in Reader's Digest. I was reading about them and the one sister taking the holistic nutrition course. And as soon as I was reading that, I just went, oh, I got to do that. So I started looking for schools. I'm looking all over the place. And I came across the school in Mississauga. And I phoned up the director and I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I didn't even know what it was, right? So I was going to do it. I was going to do it from home. I was going to just do the correspondence course. She goes, no, no, you have to come here and do it. You're going to get so much more out of it. So I went through the entire course. And when I was going through the course, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so fascinating. Right. I was just like, oh my goodness. I was just like blown away. And I mean, my first course was chemistry, very dry, but you know you're going to love something when your first course chemistry, you're like, I'm in the right place, right? So took the accelerated course, and you know you love something when you're working full time and you're taking a course like that, and that you still are like loving every minute of it. It doesn't feel that stressful because you're just soaking up every little minute of it. And so that really was when I learned about the body, learned about inflammation. And that's when I started to really understand why I probably got cancer, right? Because there's so many facets to it, right? There's not just one thing. You have to look at the whole picture. And that's what I learned in holistic health was it's body, mind, spirit. It's the whole thing. We have to look at all the things that encompass our life. So when people just say, I'm just going to do this or just do that, I said, no, no, we have to look at the entire picture. So for me, what I realized is that, I mean, obviously I had to tweak my diet. There was things I had to take out and add into my diet, but I had to look at the emotional part, right? I really learned about emotions and my level of stress and some unforgiveness and things that I really had to deal with to understand what the root was. So that was fascinating for me when I started to learn that. So after this has been, oh my goodness, I graduated from holistic nutrition back in 2007. And I wasn't really looking at helping people with cancer right off the bat. That wasn't what I really was looking at. I was just going, oh, I got to help people get healthy. But as I started to work with people and I started to see just the basis of disease in general and inflammation being the base of almost all disease, it organically turned into me realizing there's, all these people with cancer, they really have to understand all the facets of it. Like I said earlier, they have to understand that it's not just one thing. So I was introduced to this amazing group, Healing Strong, back about can't remember now, about 4 years ago, I think. And it was interesting how things happen because I was, introduced to some other people over the years, like Ty Bollinger and Chris Wark. And there was quite a few of them that I was following and getting some information from. And it was when I was on one of Chris Wark's sites that I came across this little link to Healing Strong. And I looked at it and it was like, oh my goodness, look at this. Look at all this information. And I downloaded it, put it in a binder, and basically put it on the shelf. And it sat there for about 7 months. And for me, it's like everything is the timing, right? So one day I'm cleaning out my closet and I pull the binder out and I start flipping through and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. It's everything I learned in my holistic practice. So basically what it is just 12 amazing lessons on non-toxic therapies, but not just the foods. It's about emotional health. It's about the whole thing. And it's already done. It's just this beautiful package that's laid out beautifully. So what a great thing to be given to me that I went, wow, this is amazing. So when I started doing it and doing the course, it's just, I started doing it in person, had a few people coming. And then I'd take a few months off and start it back up again. And anyway, fast forward with all this COVID stuff going on. Of course, I'm like, well, I got to continue this. I got to continue this course. And I need to do it online, obviously. But now what has transpired is absolutely incredible. So all these years of me learning and teaching, I teach at the college as well. So I'm teaching and I'm doing this Healing Strong. And it's turned into this amazing it's just such a blessing because, now I've got people from all over the world that are coming on that are getting this valuable information, right? And so what I'm finding is that it's the support, the emotional support that people need the most, when you're getting that diagnosis. I remember clearly when I was given that diagnosis and how it felt. And that the first things that go through your mind is, oh my goodness, like, who do I turn to?
Yeah.
Where do I go?
There's not a lot of information out there. They give you pamphlets and they're like, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was finding is that when people come to me, when they don't want to go the conventional route, they are so scared. They are so lost in not knowing which way. You picture that the person's been given this diagnosis. And in most cases, they are fatigued because in some cases, the cancer's got to the point where they're very fatigued. And so you're tired, you're scared. And now you're like, what do I do? Where do I go? Right? So for me, the biggest thing that I've decided that I want to do and be part of is to be able to be that person. I can say, hey, I've already researched these places to go. This booklet, I can guide you through the foods. Like, to be able to be that go-to person that I can say, hey, I've done the legwork, right? That you just, okay, you can search out, here's some names that I've researched, and you can contact these people, right? In the meantime, I'll give you some emotional support and foods that you can be starting right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's where it's grown for me, is that now I feel like, because I was like, okay, how, other than, because most people, I always say to people when I work with them, I say, you're smart. You need to clean up your diet. Most people know. They go, I know I need to cut out that sugar. I know I need to be doing that. Right? They're
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, it's emotional support. It's the, it is possible. It is possible. Let me show you some testimonies. Let me show you and let you connect with other people that have done it. Right? Because
Yeah.
that's the thing too. Is this possible? Is it possible
Yeah.
to be able to do this? Right?
Yeah, it's very interesting. When my mom was first diagnosed, when I was sitting in the hospital room with her, the first thought that came through, believe it or not, was it can be healed. And I was like, my logical brain was like, no, this is stage 4. Like, this is the end. There's no cure. But something in my inner being was like, it's possible. So that's what I did, was searched survivors and other people that have overcome this terminal diagnosis. And that started, giving me that sense of, okay, it can be possible. Anything's possible, really. But, if you believe that you can, or if you believe that you can't, then that's true. So
Right.
that's a big thing. But, let's back up a little bit, because this is amazing. Like, there's a lot. What year were you diagnosed? What was the diagnosis, and how did you even find out of your diagnosis of cancer?
Oh, yeah, great question. Okay, so it would have been back, so it would actually exactly 20 years ago. Exactly. Because I'm now 59. So it was when I was 39. So exactly 20 years ago. Yeah. And it was actually just from, uh, I hadn't had a PAP in 6 years. And of course, this little voice in me is going, go get it done, go get it done. And I was always wanting to take very good care of myself, and get my appointments, get my checkups, and whatever reason, busy mom, working full time, I kept putting it off. So when I got it done, and so when I got the results back, they said that you've got cancer. And um, they actually said that it was cervical cancer. It was a very rare, aggressive form they don't see very often. So that's not good news. And so I'm the type of person that I wanted to know, okay, well, when you say rare and aggressive, and so, like, what are you saying? How long do I have? Like, can you tell me these sort of things? And she said, well, it really is going to depend on, we're going to do surgery and we're going to see if it's in your muscle, if it's in your lymph nodes. And if it is in your lymph nodes, then I don't know, could give you a few years. But if it's in your lymph nodes, yeah, the chances of you surviving are very slim. So of course, my kids are young. My daughter's only at that point, she's only 9. My son's 12. And of course, I'm bawling and thinking, oh my goodness, am I going to see my kids grow up?
Yeah.
But there was something, saying you say that inner voice, right? There was something inside of me that said, no, you're going to be okay. So I went in with I thought I can either look at this as being fearful, or I can look at it like I'm just going to do everything I can to become healthier. So like I said earlier, I started to dig. I started to dig and look for other things. And I started to come across things about barley grass and wheatgrass and all these greens and stuff like that. And I just started buying everything. And actually, before I had surgery, I started just drinking tons and tons of wheatgrass and barley grass and just cleaning up my diet, like not touching. Because I ate pretty healthy, but I still would indulge in sugary stuff. So I just cut out sugar completely. And I remember the day before I went into surgery, I was on the treadmill at the gym. And I went, I'm going in there because I'm going to heal from this. And I'm going to feel amazing. And I just told myself, I'm going to come out of surgery, I'm going to feel great. That's what I told myself. And it was interesting because when I remember when they put me under, and then I remember waking up and I could hear them going, oh, she's waking up already. She's not supposed to be waking up already. By the time I got into the recovery room, I was wide awake and asking for food and some drinks. I'm like, I'm starving. I'm thirsty. Can I have something? Anyway, I got the best news. Actually, the doctor called me Christmas Eve and said, I want you to go into Christmas having a fantastic, peaceful Christmas, that you have clear margins. It's not your muscle.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, awesome. So, but I just thought, okay, you know what, that just kept me. And so that's what ended up me taking the Holistic Nutrition course. The more I dug into what we need to do for our bodies and what it takes for your body not to just, when you ask people how they feel or energy or whatever, they go, oh, average. I wanted to thrive. I wanted to have vitality. I wanted to be able to, and the thing is interesting when we talk to people about how they feel or their energy level. If you have nothing to compare it to, you don't know how good you can feel. I always thought I felt good, right?
Yeah.
Until I started doing that stuff, and I started doing the wheatgrass and barley grass and cutting out sugars completely and doing certain things. I'm like, oh, whoa. Because I noticed. So, and these are signs too that people don't realize, the subtle signs that people think is just, now obviously, if we work long hours, we're not getting rest, but to have really you crash and burn at certain times, or, certain things that start to happen, it's your body giving you signals.
Yeah.
Right. And you think that's normal. And it's
Yeah.
not. And I was having those signals, but I didn't understand it. Right. I didn't know what those signals were. And then when I started to make the changes, because I noticed my memory in my early 40s. I'm like, oh, is this normal in my 40s to have my memory starting to feel like it's going on me? And so when I started making the changes, I'm like, wow, what clarity. Oh my goodness, what energy. Oh, I'm not crashing at 3:00 in the afternoon, right?
Yeah. Cue the song, I can see clearly now.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, I can actually, wow, this is amazing. So I have to say that, I can think back what I felt like when I was 39. And this was before my diagnosis, but energy wise, and how I feel now. And I feel better now than I did 20 years ago.
Crazy.
My memory is better than it's ever been. I get up at 5:00 in the morning and work out. I'm on a call at 6:00 in the morning for my worship. I go all day with even keel of energy. And sometimes I'm teaching till 9:30 at night. and I don't have crash and burn time. Sometimes I have a little nap because I want to be vibrant for my calls at night, but my energy level, my clarity. And I say to people, so that's when I'm talking to people about my thing is that I say to people, I am not, because people aren't used to a lot of people come to you for weight loss, right? And when they come to me, and then when I start to teach them lifestyle, so it doesn't, so this I say to them, it doesn't matter if you have cancer, if you have MS, diabetes, joint pain, whatever you are experiencing, when you have a new lifestyle, that you take out the toxins and you start fueling your body, you experience mental clarity. That's the first sign. When people sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I'm not losing weight." I said, how's your clarity? How do you feel? Are you more alert in the morning? Do you feel like you can maybe go most of the day without a nap? And you have
Yeah.
that is you're reducing your inflammation, right?
Yeah, well, if you have more energy, you can make more supportive cognitive decisions, and the better your decisions are, the better, the outcome of your life is going to be.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's something I love teaching people. Okay, so you're talking about toxins and a couple things, and you mentioned like there's different faucets to, why cancer even happened, and you were relatively healthy. So, let's talk about why you think you might have gotten cancer, and then all of the different ways that, these different faucets that you were speaking of.
Mhm. Yeah. So, as much as because thinking that I was healthy was because I ate quite a few fruits and vegetables, right? I didn't eat a lot of junk food, right? But I was not aware of the ingredients in certain foods. I didn't understand preservatives like I do now. I didn't understand the harmful chemicals that I was bringing into the home to clean with, right? Because we are all with all the commercials, we think that things have to smell strong and fresh, right? Like, sanitize because that's, oh, you're getting rid of germs and you're getting rid of bacteria. And that's, in a fresh, clean home, you can smell these cleaners. And worse than you shouldn't be able to smell these things, right? I mean, the strongest scent I have sometimes is my vinegar that I use, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a big thing it was a big wake up call for me, was understanding what I was putting on my skin, right? What I was using, shampoos
Yeah.
and lotions and all that stuff, and to be able to read labels and understand what labels, right? And now even back then I didn't know anything about GMOs, but understanding GMOs and glyphosates and pesticides and what foods to buy organic, all that
Yeah.
stuff I didn't know.
Yeah.
So when we think we're healthy, but there's so much more, and it's not to make people feel like, oh dear, I'm doing everything wrong. It was a process.
Mhm.
I took one step at a time. It probably took, when I started learning what I was learning, I was taking, it probably took about a year that I didn't have to start reading all these labels and stuff.
Yeah, it takes a little while. And it's interesting that you say about the toxins and trying to eliminate them. When I read that inside people's homes is typically more polluted than the outdoor air.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
was like, oh my gosh, like our air quality in here isn't good because of all the chemicals that we're using. And that could be the fabrics that we use, the perfumes and the scents that are in, our detergents and so many things. Actually, a really good book that I liked reading was A Healthy Home, or The Healthy Home. I believe that's a great book that
It is.
took me through each section of the house. And then at the end of it, it told you where to eliminate and where you could basically compromise if you weren't able to eliminate it completely, because our bodies are designed to be able to metabolize a certain amount of toxins each day. But if we're lathering on lotion that's scented, if we have, like synthetic clothing, if we're washing our hands and putting in shampoo, and then our makeup is full of things, if we're not getting clean makeup, then after all of that accumulation, your body's going to start absorbing those toxins and it's not going to be able to process it. So,
Exactly. I love that book. Love that book.
great book. Yeah,
Yeah.
it changed a lot for me.
And actually, when I read that book, I was like, oh, I've learned all that in my holistic practice. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So really got me excited, because I'm like, yeah, that was everything. It took everything, and just encompassed everything that I learned.
Yeah. And they
And
make it easy because they give it like, I just like that they give you a very easy step-by-step process to go through your house and look
yeah,
at things from that lens.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay. So Yeah, different faucets, any other different faucets, like other than toxins. You talked about the emotional aspect a lot.
Hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Yes. So there's so much. I remember one of my I back in when I was about 18, I took a course um, at Sheridan for art, and one of my professors, he said, life when people in your life, a lot of them, you know, it's not a lot of positive stuff that we get, right? And he said we end up being like an onion that we have to keep putting these layers of skin on to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And so years of that, right? And when we get older, like sometimes we, depending on your, what happens in your life and who actually um, supports you and starts to value you, you start to be able to peel away those layers to see what, you know, who you are and your identity. And you start to have to really understand what things have stuck to you that you've believed that are lies. And so that part of the healing process is really, really important when it comes to cancer. There's so many people. Have you ever seen the movie Heal?
Documentary Heal is amazing. I watch it at least once a year. It's like a tradition for me.
It's so good. So that's such a good movie to show that, is that because people will say they see people that seem to do all the right things, right?
Yeah.
They exercise, eat healthy, and they still get cancer. They go, see, you can still get cancer,
Mm-hmm.
but they haven't dealt with the emotional part. So that is so, so important for people to understand. And so, and I was just talking to a client yesterday, and and I just felt that that was the part that I had to really talk to her a lot about. We were talking about foods. That was like her third session. We've been talking about other things. And I said, I think we need to touch on emotions today. Right. And as I started talking to her about forgiveness, forgiving herself for things and forgiving others, I said, does that resonate with you at all? And I don't know her situation, but I just felt that I need to bring it up. And she started crying. And she said, yeah, it does. And I said, well, and for me, I mean, most of my clients have a faith. And so I just said to her, you turn it over and just pray about it and see what's revealed to you, because that part of it, I feel like that's what you need to address now, right? You're understanding the foods, you're understanding this part of it, but that part, let's work on that. And sometimes who's to say what you work on first, right?
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
But all three have to be addressed. And sometimes we may have things that um, you have to maybe, to get somebody to be able to draw it out of you that you're not too sure. You think, oh no, I don't have any unforgiveness. Oh, I don't have anything. And it's probably buried down there. If they're not healing, what I'm learning is if they're not healing, they're still like they're doing the food part and doing all these other things. And they feel like they're okay emotionally, that they don't have to deal with that part. I'm thinking to myself, probably means you should, because we all need to be working on things when it comes to emotions. All of us, there's always something there, and for me, I started to just realize that things that I was, taking offense for certain things, right? So there's always things we can work on. So the emotional part, I think that people, if they need to, if they feel comfortable with somebody or get somebody, a therapist that can, but that emotional part is definitely a big, big part of healing, because if you're hanging on to resentment or unforgiveness, it's very harmful for our bodies.
Yeah, it manifests in our bodies in ways that we are not even fully aware. And those limiting beliefs, a lot of those things come from our childhood. It comes from times that we don't even remember. So
Mhm.
what are some indications that maybe someone can, like start monitoring themselves if knowing that they have suppressed emotions or anything that like is emotionally harboring their body? Are there any, cues that they can pick up on that maybe they would be like, oh, that's emotional trauma, basically is what it is?
I think if you believe anything other than, um, if you're having negative thoughts of anything that doesn't show your value and who you are, then that's a sign right there, because you shouldn't have those negative thoughts. If you have negative thoughts about yourself, then you're like, oh, okay, where's that coming from? Where's
Yeah.
that coming from? Right. So that's what, who has said something to you in the past? Who has made you believe that you're not worthy, that you are not deserving of certain things? Or you're saying, oh, here I go again. Oh, why am I can never do this, or why can't I do that? Or those types of thoughts.
Yeah.
Tell people, take your thoughts captive. If you're thinking those things, you have to go, oh, is that a thought that's nourishing me? Right? We nourish our bodies, and you have to nourish yourself with good thoughts. And so if something's not a good thought, something positive about yourself, then that's not a thought to be entertaining. And you have to think, where's that coming from? Right? Or if you have family members that when you think about them, you feel angry. That's a big one, right? If you
What can
feel,
trigger you?
if they, yeah, right
Yeah.
away, if you're feeling anger towards them, you, like I'm learning, and it's never like, this is the thing, right? Like I said, I'm 59. And there's certain things I'm just learning now that I'm starting to work on. And that is that there's certain people in your life that they annoy you and you get angry and thinking about, or getting your back up. They say something to you, get offended. Then that's for us to say, hmm, why is it that I'm feeling that way? Because if I feel really good about myself and I'm not taking offense, because I shouldn't, then um, if something's triggering me, that it's like something in me that I need to deal with.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that,
Having
yeah, yeah,
having that awareness is beautiful. And yeah, if you're having like basically this abusive narrative going on in your head, that's really a quick indication that something is going on. Maybe you were told something whenever you're younger, and that belief is still instilled in your being, and you can catch the thread every once in a while. And then, being triggered by a family member or a loved one or a friend or anything like that, that's another way. But whenever you're noticing that too, this is something that I've had to teach myself, is to not have judgment towards that. And just meeting myself with compassion and love, being like, okay, this is interesting, because you can't judge from a place of compassion and curiosity. So it's good to notice that thing, but not come down on yourself. Sometimes I'm short with my mom and I'm like, that wasn't cool of me. And I don't like that version of me, but it's not going to do me any good for, going down the spiral of like beating myself up for it. Right.
definitely, definitely, yes. Because I always, now what I tell myself is that these, when we interact and we're doing things, it's just lessons. It's
Yeah.
opportunities to grow and to learn. So don't beat yourself up, right? And when we compare, and don't compare yourself saying, why did that person figure it out at that age? Sometimes
Yeah.
I can, especially talking from a place of being older, is that sometimes I'll look at someone young and think, oh, wow, how did they figure that out so soon, right? But yet I could have figured something out that they didn't. But it's awful how we compare ourselves, right? Another thing I say to people, don't do that. Don't do that. We're all in our own journey, and we all have things that we're learning at different times. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The big thing is, yeah, like you said, is you just kind of you're recognizing things. You're seeing it, because some people don't see it and don't really care to grow and learn. And you kind of see them stuck, and they're never
Yeah.
on. But I think the key is, yeah, just being aware and and being open to wanting to make some changes. That's the big thing. Wanting to is a big thing, right?
That is where,
Yeah.
yeah, the magic happens for sure. Okay, beautiful. So just to wrap this up, because we have a few more minutes, I want to just revisit, what you offer and how you support people if they were to be diagnosed, if they were to reach out to you, what are all the different things that you provide?
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah. So, um, I have an incredible questionnaire that I've been using for a long time. So this questionnaire is pretty in-depth, but I tell people it gives me a really good indication of what's going on, because it takes all the like 350 questions and it compiles them for me into categories. So I can get a good idea of where the biggest weaknesses are in the body. I always say to people, I'm not diagnosing, it's not a blood test, I know that, but it's pretty accurate because it takes all those and puts them into categories for me. So that's number one, is I get people to fill that out. And then what I do is I go from there and I start to look at, and I always start with digestion. So I walk them through not just what to eat, but how to eat, right? What affects digestion, because that's first and foremost. So I walk them through things that people don't even realize when it comes to mechanics of digestion. So I walk them through that. And then I, start to look at, like we talked earlier about, okay, what's possible toxins in their home. I break it down and show them and show alternatives to what they can be doing, right? So it's a process. So normally I book people for at least 4 sessions so we can walk through it step by step, because this is a lifestyle change. So it's going to take time, right? So I say to them, okay, step 1, we look at digestion. Step 2, we're going to be looking at, toxins and looking at tweaking your diet and see what you can do. And then we touch into the emotional parts of things. I do talk about emotions and kind of help them dive into that, or where they need support with understanding their whys, why they're doing things, what roadblocks they might have that's going to stop them from success. Is it roadblocks that they're putting up, or is it family members or things? Sometimes I've even gone into the home to have the family listen to me while I'm talking, so that they're on board and understand what this person's going through.
That's so important. To get support from people around you is essential. It's everything.
So, I mean, that, and it's easily done now with Zoom, like the family can sit in and listen, right? So, so I do that. And then I do specialized meal plans with them so they can see exactly where we need to fill in to support their body, because we're all individual. So, and I'm not one to just dive into one particular diet. I'm not, that you have to be vegan or vegetarian or whatever to be healthy. I just look at, for me, the big thing is, like we talked, just help people understand where toxins are hidden, right? So you want clean sources. So that's the big thing that I teach people, right? Is that, I think that that's more important than anything. So I teach them that. And then of course, the types of supplements that I recommend that are, going to really support the body. I think it's so body, mind, spirit supplementation. I actually go through, and I used to teach Zumba and Pyo, and I've had lots of personal trainers that are friends. So I can even give people little quick exercises that they can do daily to help them. So I offer a lot. I do offer a lot. It's years of experience, right? I've been doing this for almost 15 years now. So I walk them through a process, and I get them to do food journals. And then, of course, with my Healing Strong program, they can come on to Healing Strong for free. It's bi-weekly. Every other Wednesday, they can come on and listen in on a session for 2 hours.
Wow.
It's twice a month. So not only can I give them one-on-one support, they can come in and listen to other non-toxic therapies and links to other things that they can reach out and get access to. So yeah, I love, my favorite word. I'm a plethora of links and information to help support them.
Yeah. And just to clarify, Healing Strong and your business are kind of separate.
They are, yes. Healing Strong is just, it's a nonprofit that I got involved with that I love. It's a great addition to what I'm doing. And and my company is called Best Body for Life. Yeah. I created
beautiful
almost 20 years ago.
But it definitely has an overlapping of what you guys teach. So Healing Strong is specifically for cancer, and then Best Body for Life, you kind of have your own practice on the side there. Okay.
Yeah, but it's great. Separate, but
No, totally. They all overlap. I mean, pretty much a lot of the things that, with a cancer diagnosis, like Chris Wark has the Square One program, because it's Square One. So a lot of these things, it's all your basic building blocks of what you need.
Yeah. Oh, and a side note of that too, that I'm affiliate with Chris Wark.
Yeah.
If you go on my website and click on this link, then proceeds from that go to Healing Strong from me.
Which is awesome. So yeah,
Oh,
you're getting a program and then you're also supporting a nonprofit
yeah.
simultaneously, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Well, is there anything else that you feel would be important? If someone were to be diagnosed with cancer, what do you think that you would tell them? Is there anything else that you'd want them to know?
I would just say that definitely get into a network, to get supported.
Positive network too.
Positive network to get supported. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That you don't feel alone in this journey, because that's the big thing, is
Yeah.
that we have to remember that when we get fearful, false evidence appearing real, you're concerned about the outcome. You're really concerned about what's possibly going to happen. And you get fearful because of what you're being told from doctors that sometimes scare the bejeebers out of you
Yeah.
and tell you how much time you have left. And that annoys the heck out of me,
Me
because
too.
they don't have a crystal ball and they don't know. So, number one, we don't have to believe everything they say, right? Number
Right.
one.
Yeah.
And, as much as the fear thing triggers us, we have to say, So we have two things I notice that people can do. And that is, they can get fearful and believe what the doctor says. And oftentimes that's the outcome, because, like you said earlier, you've believed it, right? Or you can say, no, I'm going to survive and I'm going to do everything I can and believe that. And I'll leave you on this note. This is what can happen with people, is that when you place that thought in your mind that you only have so much time to live, do you know that people have died within that time frame and come to find out they didn't have cancer?
I have chills because yes, it manifests in your body. Like every cell in your body is listening.
Yeah,
And if you tell yourself over and over and over again that you are going to die, you will.
yeah,
Studies like your brain chemistry can literally make anything happen.
yeah. So we can't believe that. We have to believe we're going to live. Why
Yeah.
not? Believe that you can live. Believe that you are going to see your destiny. You are not designed to live with illness. That's not how we were created. We were not designed to carry that. So I
Mm.
say to people, that's a big thing I say to them. You have a destiny and you have beautiful things to do in this world, and you were not designed to carry that illness. So I said, don't allow it anymore. Don't
Yeah.
take it on. Don't carry it. You don't have to,
Yeah.
right? Your creator did not design you to carry that illness. So I say to them, don't do it. Don't do it.
So beautiful. And this is something that, I had to learn, even not being diagnosed, caring for my mom, living from a place of fear. I
Mm.
was, infusing that fear into what I was cooking her, and it was making her sick, even though it was healthy foods.
Yeah, right. Oh,
It's
yeah, great
it's
point.
intense. So it's always so important to come back and be like, am I doing this out of fear and control? Or am
Mhm.
I doing this out of love and nourishment? And this is something that I have to ask myself all the time. If I'm not in a good headspace, I'm not going to cook. Like I have to, do breath work or meditate or switch my energy, because I know that that's not healthy
Yeah,
for anyone, especially me. Right.
great point. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Linda. Well, I am so happy that I got to talk to you. You are just, like you said, a plethora of just knowledge and just links and information. And there's so much that people can learn from you. So I will link your contact information in the show notes below if anyone's looking to reach out to Linda. But yes, thank you so much for being here, for, sharing your time, your energy, and your beautiful spirit. I just love it. Thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Yeah, anytime.
Thank you so
Bless
much for
you.
tuning into this episode. Before you head off, I'd love to give you a free resource of mine. When my mom was first diagnosed, the only thing I had control over is what I cooked her, but I had no idea what to make. But after a couple years, I've learned a thing or two. So I went ahead and made a quick start recipe guide for anyone that is just looking for the basic first steps that they need to take. This recipe guide includes many different recipes that I use with my mom. I know are extremely healing and also easy to make. So if you want to get this free download, you can just check out the show notes below or go to what'swithcancer.com/quick start guide. That is what'swithcancer.com/quick start guide. And there will be a place where you can just submit your email and it will send straight to your email with about 20 plus variations of recipes that you can start making tomorrow. All right, my friends, I hope you have the most blessed day. We will see you next time.